My name is Brian Mason. I was 26 years old, and until that night, my life was quiet in the most predictable way. I ran a small contracting crew on the outskirts of Portland, Oregon. Nothing fancy. Residential jobs mostly. Additions, foundations, repairs that other people did not want to deal with. My morning started before sunrise with an egg sandwich from the gas station and a coffee that never tasted as strong as I needed. My days were filled with saw noise, dust, and yelling over tools. By evening, I went back to my one-bedroom apartment, cracked open a beer, and sat on the couch next to my lazy cat Whiskers, who acted like he paid the rent. No one waited for me. No one asked how my day went. I had never been married, and I had not dated seriously in a couple of years. My social life was my crew and the occasional football game or backyard barbecue. Life was steady. Simple. And honestly, I thought I was fine with that. That Tuesday evening felt like every other one at first. I had just wrapped up a long shift downtown on a custom build that was already behind schedule. My back hurt from hauling lumber, my boots were heavy with dried mud, and my head was still running through the next day's punch list. Instead of driving, I decided to walk the few blocks home. The air was cool, the kind of early fall quiet Portland gets in older neighborhoods. Trees lined the sidewalks, porch lights flickered on, and the sky was just starting to go dark. I had my earbuds in, old rock music playing, my thoughts drifting. Then blue and red lights flashed behind me, slicing through the dusk. I pulled one earbud out and turned around as a police cruiser rolled up to the curb. The door opened, and a female officer stepped out. She was tall, athletic, blonde hair pulled back into a tight ponytail. Her uniform was crisp under the streetlight, and her posture was calm but alert. She looked like she was in her late 30s or early 40s, but there was something about her face that made her seem younger. Sharp features, steady jaw, and eyes that caught me off guard. Gray-blue eyes that studied me closely as she approached. "Stop right there," she said. "I need to check you out." My heart jumped even though I had done nothing wrong. Getting stopped while walking home was not how I planned to end my day. I lifted my hand slightly without thinking. "What's going on, officer?" I asked. "You match the description of a suspect involved in recent thefts," she said. "Mind if I pat you down?" I nodded. "Go ahead. I just got off work." She checked my pockets quickly and professionally, then asked for my ID. I handed over my wallet and explained that I worked construction nearby and had been on site all day. She listened while glancing between me and the cruiser, her radio clipped to her shoulder. She unzipped my backpack next, pulling out my hard hat, a half-eaten sandwich, and a few tools. "You work construction?" she asked, looking at the dirt on my jeans. "Yeah," I said. "I run a small crew. Framing a house today." Her radio crackled, and a voice came through confirming that the suspect was taller and wearing a black hoodie, not a match. Her shoulders relaxed slightly as she handed my ID back. "Sorry about that. We've had a string of package thefts around here. The description was close." I shrugged, trying to ease the tension. "No worries, so I'm clear?" She smiled just a little, and that smile changed everything about her face. "You're good to go." Then she hesitated, studying me again, not like a cop this time, like a woman. "You're not married, right?" she asked. The question hit me out of nowhere. No," I said. "Single." She nodded once, then said, "I need your number." I stared at her, trying to process what was happening. "For police reasons?" I asked, half joking. She smiled wider. "For coffee. I owe you an apology." I gave her my number, adding, "So you can track me easier next time?" She laughed softly, wrote it down, and said, "Stay out of trouble, Brian." Then she got back in her cruiser, lights off, and drove away, leaving me standing on the sidewalk staring after her. When I finally got home, Whiskers barely looked up from the couch. I dropped my bag, grabbed a beer, and sat down, replaying the moment over and over. Her eyes. Her smile. That question. For the first time in a long while, my predictable life felt like it had cracked open just enough to let something unexpected in. The next morning felt longer than it should have. I checked my phone more times than I wanted to admit. half expecting a message and half convincing myself there would not be one. Work kept me busy, but my mind drifted back to that streetlight and her calm voice. By lunchtime, I had almost decided the whole thing was just a polite gesture. Cops probably hand out numbers all the time, right? That thought barely settled when my phone buzzed in my pocket. Saturday, 10 a.m. Harbor Cafe. I'll cover the coffee. Rosa Martinez. Seeing her name made my chest tighten. Rosa. It fit her. Strong and steady. I texted back right away and tried not to smile like an idiot in front of my crew. Saturday morning came faster than I expected. I woke up before my alarm, the gray Portland light slipping through the blinds. I shaved, changed shirts twice, and laughed at myself in the mirror. I skipped breakfast because my stomach felt tight, then walked toward the river with my hands shoved in my jacket pockets. Harbor Cafe sat right along the Willamette, all brick walls and wide windows. The smell of espresso and baked bread hit me as soon as I walked in. I arrived early and took a seat by the window, watching the water move slow and calm. My foot tapped under the table while I waited. Then the door opened. For a second, I did not recognize her. No uniform, no badge. Her blonde hair fell loose around her shoulders, and she wore a simple blue dress with a gray cardigan. She scanned the room, spotted me, and smiled in a way that made my chest feel warm and unsteady at the same time. "You're early," she said, stopping at my table. "Didn't want to give you a reason to stop me again," I said. She laughed, and it was softer than I expected. She ordered a latte and sat across from me, resting her hands around the cup like she was warming them. Without the uniform, she looked more relaxed. Those gray-blue eyes still held focus, but now there was warmth in them too. We talked easily, starting with the other night. She explained the thefts, the long shifts, the frustration of chasing someone who never seemed to leave a trail. I told her about my crew, the chaos of job sites, and the pressure of deadlines. It felt natural, like we had known each other longer than a few days. As the coffee cooled, the conversation shifted. She asked about my life outside work. I told her about my dad teaching me how to fix things, about starting my crew from scratch, about coming home to an empty apartment most nights. She nodded slowly. "That quiet can get heavy," she said, "especially after long days." I hesitated, then asked about her. She leaned back slightly, eyes drifting to the river. "I was married once," she said. "A long time ago. He was a firefighter. He didn't come home one night." The words landed quietly but carried weight. I did not rush to fill the silence. I just listened. "For years," she continued, "it was just work and sleep. I stopped expecting anything else." I met her eyes. "I'm sorry. That kind of loss doesn't just disappear." Quote. She gave a small smile. "No, but meeting you the other night felt unexpected. Like life reminding me it can still surprise you." We walked out together after finishing our drinks. The air was cool, the river breeze light. Before we parted, she looked at me and said, "Next time is my treat again." I watched her walk away, knowing something had shifted. After that, we started texting. Nothing heavy at first. Small messages, jokes, photos from our days. It felt easy, like we had slipped into something without forcing it. By Friday, she asked me to dinner. The pizza place downtown was small and loud, with checkered tablecloths and warm lighting. She showed up in jeans and a black shirt, her hair down, confidence in every step. We talked about music, movies, and argued about football teams like it mattered. When we walked outside, a light rain started to fall. We shared my umbrella, shoulders brushing as we walked. Halfway down the block, she stopped. "I worry sometimes," she said, "about the age difference, about my job, about dragging someone else into my mess." Quote. I turned to her. "I'm not scared of complicated. I'm scared of missing something real." She studied my face, then nodded slowly. "Okay." We did not kiss that night, but when we said goodbye, her hand squeezed mine just a little longer than necessary. I walked home soaked and smiling, knowing this was no longer just curiosity. It was something that wanted room to grow. The weeks after that felt different in a quiet but powerful way. Rosa and I slipped into each other's lives without making a big announcement about it. We just showed up. Texts turned into calls. Calls turned into dinners. Some nights were nothing more than takeout on her couch with the TV playing in the background while we talked about our days. Other times we went for long walks through neighborhoods lit by street lamps, her hand resting easily in mine like it had always belonged there. I learned her rhythms. The way she got quiet after long shifts. The way she kicked off her shoes the second she walked inside. The way she laughed when she was really relaxed, head tilted back, eyes closed for just a moment. And slowly, she let me see the parts she usually kept guarded. One night, walking under a light drizzle, she told me more about her husband, how he used to leave notes on the fridge, how the silence after he died felt louder than any siren. She spoke calmly, but her fingers trembled where they held mine. I did not try to fix it. I just stayed. That seemed to matter most. But not everything felt easy. She started pulling back when the future came up, small things at first. Changing the subject when I joked about trips next summer. Getting quiet when someone assumed I was staying over more often. One evening, sitting on a park bench near her precinct, she finally said it out loud. "People at work are starting to notice," she said. "The comments, the looks." I could hear the worry under her calm voice. I asked if she wanted to stop seeing me. "No," she said quickly, then softer. "I just don't want you paying for my choices." That night, she called me later than usual. Her voice was tight. "Maybe we should slow down," she said. "I don't want you dragged into this." Quote. I did not argue over the phone. I drove straight to her place. She opened the door in sweats, eyes tired and red. I stepped inside and pulled her into a hug before she could say anything. She stiffened for a second, then melted into me. "I'm not leaving," I said. "Not because of gossip, not because things get uncomfortable." She pulled back, looking up at me. "I'm older. I have history. I'm complicated." I cupped her cheek gently. "And I still choose you." The next day, I invited her to my job site. Nothing fancy, just a deck we were finishing in a quiet neighborhood. My crew was packing up tools when she arrived in jeans and a flannel, looking unsure. I introduced her without hesitation. "This is Rosa, my girlfriend." The guy smiled, shook her hand, cracked a few jokes about me finally finding someone tougher than I was. No judgment, no whispers, just normal. I saw the tension leave her shoulders. That evening, I did something she did not expect. She had once mentioned her balcony, how she used to sit there before everything changed, how it had been neglected for years. While she was on shift, I fixed it, tightened the railing, sanded the wood, added a fresh coat of stain. I placed a small potted flower on the table with a note. "For the evenings you forget to sit and breathe." She called me, crying when she got home. I went over, and she wrapped her arms around me like she was afraid I might disappear. That night, standing by the window as rain fell, she admitted her biggest fear. "I'm scared if I let you in all the way, I'll lose you too." I held her close. "I can't promise nothing bad will ever happen, but I can promise I'm here." She kissed me then, slow, careful, real. After that, she let herself lean in, laugh louder, dream a little. But I could still feel her holding one last piece back, like she was waiting for the other shoe to drop. I decided I would not rush her. I would just keep showing up. After that night, something between us settled into place. Not perfect, not effortless, but real. Rosa stopped apologizing for who she was and what she carried. I stopped worrying about where this might end and focused on where we were. We built our days quietly. Morning coffee on her balcony, evenings cooking together. Some nights we barely spoke, just sat close, sharing the same air. She still had hard days, shifts that left her drained and quiet. On those nights, I learned not to push. I would make dinner, clean up, and sit beside her until she was ready to talk. Sometimes she never was, and that was okay. Being there was enough. The outside noise never fully went away. Comments at work, side glances, a joke or two that went too far. I could see how it weighed on her. One evening, she came home frustrated and tired, dropped her keys on the counter, and said, "I hate that this is harder than it needs to be." I took her hands and said, "Then let's stop hiding from it." A week later, We took a few days off and drove out to the Oregon coast. The sky was gray, the waves rough, the wind sharp against our faces. She had been there years ago with her husband. I knew that. I let her set the pace. We walked along the shoreline in silence until she stopped near the water. She pulled off her old wedding ring, the one she still wore quietly on a chain. She held it in her palm for a long moment. "I don't forget him," she said, "but I'm ready to live again." She tossed the ring into the ocean and watched it disappear. Then she turned to me and smiled, free and steady. When we got back, things changed in small but meaningful ways. My clothes found their way into her closet. Whiskers claimed her couch like it had always been his. We turned her spare room into a shared space where I sketched projects and she reviewed case files. The balcony became our place, warm light glowing at night while we talked about everything and nothing. One evening, sitting out there with coffee in our hands, she leaned into me and said, "That night you stopped me on the street, I thought it was just another shift." I smiled. "I thought I was in trouble." She laughed, resting her head on my shoulder. "Turns out we both were, just the good kind." Looking at her then, relaxed and open, I realized something important. I did not save her. She did not save me. We met each other in the middle, carrying our pasts and choosing to move forward anyway. My life was not predictable anymore. It was fuller, louder, warmer, and it all started with flashing lights, a simple question, and a moment neither of us saw coming.